How is it that you manage commercially led clients on email? Hi guys, my name is Deepak Shukla, founder at the Pearl Lemon Group. We're a business growth and development agency based in the UK, USA, as well as serving clients worldwide. And here today, in day number 63, we're here to talk about the management of commercially led clients on email. But before we get into it, please do reach out to us if you need any support with your communications internally or with your clients. And please do subscribe, hit the red button if you're just enjoying these videos and getting value from them. So today we're talking about managing commercially led clients on email. If you've not yet watched training number 62, it talks about how to deal with these kinds of clients on calls in general, and that will really feed into how to manage them on email. And please, before we get started, click the link in the description below to access 7 additional strategies that are not shared in this training. So look, fundamentally, you have to be able to have the ability to talk numbers with someone who's numbers led. So commercially led clients will ask for key performance indicators. Commercially led clients will add cost to via units in terms of their time involved in your campaign, as well as the value that you're providing and the discernible measurements of that, and therefore be able to attribute a value against it. So it's what I call ultimately common sense maths or high street maths. So you need to have the rough ability to work out ultimately your value add and what's happening. And there's different ways that this can be sliced up. If you've got a set of and being just savvy with being able to understand numbers and put them together on email is really powerful. So for example, sometimes clients will undervalue the work that you're doing, but then you need to equate the value of the work you're doing with the potential returns. So for example, if you're editing a series of listings, you could say, look, the power of getting one listing right could generate another $25,000 in revenue for your business. So the way that I've worked out or calculated that is by looking at the bestseller in this niche for this item, which is currently number 9. If we can get it to number 1, then that will generate another, based upon what I've seen, $9,000 a month in sales. Assuming you're able to just do that for even 2 months in a row, you're paying us $1,500. That would create an additional $18,000 in revenue. Let's subtract the revenue you currently get at position number 9. Let's just say it's $2,000 a month each. So $18,000 minus $4,000 would mean it's $14,000 in additional revenue from this one listing. We're attempting to ultimately improve 15 of them. So where we can improve even, for example, 2 in terms of a real world commercial result, you'll get an $36,000 uplift if we take that as an average as a consequence of a $1,500 input. That is why we take more time with each of the listings that we do, because of the potential upside. Now let's talk about the mechanics of what we do and the time it takes with each listing, as opposed to just quickly writing it out on in 5 minutes. What you're buying when you're buying the $1,500 is the several years and 53 plus clients that we've had experience of in terms of improving and editing eBay as well as Etsy listings. Now, what that entails is keeping an eye on what's happening from a news perspective in terms of the Cassini algorithm on eBay as well as the algorithm for Etsy. So we track public announcements. We're also bringing our actual search engine optimization expertise to the table, because we've got a raft of support internally within the team that we can call upon. We've worked in many different scenarios that are similar to your niche. So there's a massive talent that you're just outright paying for, separate to time. So you're paying for experience. Time is commercially available much cheaper in many places, but then you don't get the experience that we bring to the table. In combination with the experience that we bring, there's also the combined time of our team. You go much cheaper. You don't get, for example, the ability to quickly ask questions within a team of very experienced people. So when we apply a 15-minute time, it carries probably a 1-hour value for someone else who has to go to outside sources, or even worse, just uses their gut based upon just their gut and not enough experience. So our 15 minutes is equivalent to other people's is, for example, 1 hour, because there's a 4x return in terms of how much information we have easily accessible to us. Now we're actually spending per listing 90 minutes of our time. If we take that 15-minute segment, then we're looking at 4 is 60, another 2 is 90. So that's 6 sets of 15 minutes. That's 6 hours of time in terms of other people's time based upon what we would do. So someone else's 6 hours is our 90 minutes. I've explained the rationale behind it, and you're getting ultimately 6 hours in total. So you're getting over 30 hours of time spent on these listings in terms of value. So guys, do you see how much I'm just using simple math to really underline the value that you're driving? And this relates to anything that's numbers led. It's deliverables. It's the mechanics of these are XYZ deliverables. This is why we're delivering that. Here's a rationale behind it. Here's my math and here's my working out. This is why it's got a lot of upside. And the further that you can dive into and investigate the numbers, the better you're going to do when it comes to being able to really demonstrate ultimately what you're doing and why you're doing it in a manner that like a math guy, when they're looking at the numbers, will be able to demonstrate and understand. And this will help save you in many, many instances and circumstances, because you can begin to apply numbers to anything. It's a very consultative style approach. And let me just give you another one where a client is thinking about cancellation or a complaint. What is the cost of change? And how can you break that down in a mathematical fashion? So there's the, for example, value of alignment, which is a mathematical number that you can build, meaning that, well, it's taken us a month to just understand each other. And this is typical of any provider you'll work with. It is definitely absolutely never the case that you'll meet a provider and everything will go smooth from day one, because you have to get to know each other. Just much like any, for example, relationship you've got into, there's a learning curve as you begin to get to grips with each other. What is the cost ratio of that learning curve? So that cost of learning diminishes over time because you get into alignment. But if we assume for the month one, there's a 10-hour cost of alignment, and the value of that time between us is, let's just peg it at £10 an hour, then that's £200. And again, you can change these numbers. Let's peg that at £40 an hour. That's £400 just for simple value alignment. Now, it's month 4 and we're still working out some things. So let's just assume that 1 month is ambitious because you discover things along the way. Let's just say it's 6 weeks. So now we're looking at £600. That's value alignment. Furthermore, then there's a cost of momentum. So momentum is when you finally discover alignment, you begin to develop a cadence in terms of workflow. That will take another, for example, 10 hours of time to develop that momentum. So we've got we've got communication alignment, 400 or let's say 600. We've got cost of momentum, which is another 200. So that's £800. Then you've got your procurement process, which is looking for other providers, going through the due diligence and auditing process, looking at resumes or looking at agencies, having phone calls, making a decision, organizing transfer of payment, organizing onboarding. We're looking at another 30 hours. 30 hours times a £40 valuation is £1,200. Before you've even got out of bed, you spent £2,000 just by walking away from us. So guys, do you see that you can add numbers to absolutely anything? And the more that you get the ability to think in those terms, the better you'll be able to deal with anyone who's commercially led, especially because you will have time to write things like that up into email to quantify the value of any work that you do.